A quorum is present. The Senate is ready for business. We have 12 committee reports. Is there consent to take these in one motion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Committee reports are adopted. We have a general resolution for consideration. Clerk will read.
House Concurrent Resolution number 28, Senator John Ford, congratulating Ivy Tech Community College.
Questions on the adoption of the resolution? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Resolution is adopted. Secretary, notify the House of the passage of the resolution. Do we have any special resolutions? Senator Breaux? Senator Breaux calls special resolution number 35. Clerk will read.
The Senate resolution.
Senator Breaux to present the resolution. Excuse me, Senators.
Thank you, Madam President. Stand next to me. Madam President, members of the Senate, it is my distinct honor to present this resolution today on the last day of International Women's Month while we're in session. Tomorrow, I think, is the official last day, but we won't be here. And in recognition of Black history, I would like to introduce to you the wonderful and fabulous Miss Alpha Blackburn. She is accompanied today by her grandson, Justin Walter Stevenson, and that's this gentleman here. She's also here with her son, Kai Walter Blackburn, right here. Her niece, Carrie Officer Jones. And then we have an unexpected guest with us, and that's the Honorable Caroline Mays, a former member of the Indiana House of Representatives. Let me introduce to you Alpha Blackburn. Madam President and members of the Senate, I offer the following resolution and move its adoption, recognizing the distinguished career of Alpha Blackburn as a renowned Indianapolis artist dedicated to serving her community. Ms. Blackburn is a philanthropist, CEO, magazine editor, award-winning fashion designer, former TV host on Wish TV. Her career is remarkable for her achievements as an interior fashion designer and for her service to her home community of Indianapolis of almost 60 years. After growing up in Lynchburg, Virginia, Alpha Blackburn attended Howard University. She graduated cum laude and earned a Bachelor of Arts in Design and a Master of Fine Arts in Painting and Art History. From 1972 to 1981, Ms. Blackburn hosted daily and weekly local television talk shows. That's what she has in common with Barbara Boyd. That's where I got the idea, actually, because she was here for Barbara Boyd. But she and Barbara were on TV well before it was common or popular to see an African-American face. She hosted those TV shows from 1972 to 81, and from 1980 to 1990, she served as fashion editor at Indianapolis Monthly magazine. In 1987, Ms. Blackburn was appointed commissioner of the Indiana Civil Rights Commission by Governor Orr and named chair in 1990, a position she served throughout several administrations. After graduating, after the passing of her late husband, Walter Blackburn, in 2000, Alpha took over as president and CEO of Blackburn Architects. During that time, she completed the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she led the development of a $4 million public art program for the Indianapolis International Airport. I would also like to say, many of you are familiar with the Arts Garden downtown, that beautiful glass structure. That was designed by Alpha and her late husband, and it was constructed by Blackburn Architects, so something we're very proud. Ms. Blackburn's commitment to Indianapolis is demonstrated by her position on more than 60 boards, commissions, and civic committees, including the Indianapolis Symphony Society, the Indianapolis Cultural Development Commission, the Indianapolis Museum of Art, and the Indiana Museum of African American History. And there are so many more that I will not read, but she has been quite committed to our community. She has been dedicated to assisting aspiring artists in overcoming financial and social barriers. She oversees the Walter and Alpha Blackburn Scholarship Fund to provide high school students wanting to study architecture or the arts for a 4-year college degree. To provide opportunities for young Hoosiers, Alpha Blackburn established the Alpha Blackburn Scholarship for the Arts at Herron School of Art and Design at IUPUI, and that continues to provide mentorship as a member of the school's advisory board. Alpha Blackburn was honored with an IUPUI Chancellor's Medallion for her decades of service to the IUPUI campus and its students. Alpha has been recognized with numerous awards and distinctions, including the IUPUI Spirit of Philanthropy Award, the Hope Award of the Multiple Sclerosis Society, the Trailblazer Award from Indiana Black Expo, the Spirit of Freedom Award from the Indiana Civil Rights Commission, induction into the Central Indiana Business Hall of Fame, selection as Outstanding Woman of the Year, and recognition as one of Indiana's Historical Society's leading living legends. While her many designs throughout Central Indiana showcase Alpha Blackburn's talent and creativity, it is her civic service, her contributions to charities, scholarships for student artists, and continued commitment to ensuring a diverse and vibrant culture in Indiana that defines Alpha Blackburn's extraordinary contributions to a very grateful city. So, members of the General Assembly, be it resolved by the Senate of the General Assembly of the State of Indiana that the Indiana Senate recognizes Alpha Blackburn as a renowned Indianapolis artist dedicated to serving her community. Madam President, that is the resolution.
Is there discussion? The resolution is placed on its passage. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Resolution is adopted. Secretary, notify the House of the passage of the resolution.
The microphone off.
We have 2 messages from the President Pro Tem. Clerk will read.
Madam President, members of the Senate, I have on Wednesday, March 29, 2023, signed Senate Ruled Act 480, Senator Roger Breaux. Madam President, members of the Senate, I have on Thursday, March 30, 2023, signed Senate Ruled Acts 43, 44, 157, 168, and 287, Senator Roger Breaux.
We have 2 messages from the President of the Senate. Clerk will read.
Members of the Senate, I have on the 29th day of March 2023, signed Senate Ruled Acts 48, 114, 296, 374, and 445, Suzanne Crouch, Lieutenant Governor. Members of the Senate, I have on the 29th day of March 2023, signed Senate Ruled Acts 480, Suzanne Crouch, Lieutenant Governor.
We have 2 messages, excuse me, we have 6 messages from the House. We will now move to House bills eligible for second reading. Is there consent to read the roll numerically? Consent. Clerk will read the roll.
House Bill 1055, Senator Sandlin.
Senator Sandlin passes. Continue.
House Bill 1125, Senator Gaskill.
Senator Gaskill passes. Continue.
House Bill 1138, Senator Niemeyer.
Senator Niemeyer calls House Bill 1138. Clerk will read.
Bill for enactment.
House Bill 1138 is placed on second reading and it's open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the roll.
House Bill 1167, Senator Buck.
Senator Buck calls House Bill 1167. Clerk will read.
The bill for enactment.
House Bill 1167 is placed on second reading and is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the roll.
House Bill 1196, Senator Crider.
The consent to move to the end of the row? Okay. Senator Crider calls House Bill 1196. Clerk will read.
Bill for name and code.
House Bill 1196 placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1256, Senator Alting.
Senator Alting calls House Bill 1256. Clerk will read.
The bill for name and code.
House Bill 1256 placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Senator Alting.
Amendment number 3.
Senator Alting calls amendment number 1. Perhaps? We only have one.
I'm sorry. Amendment number 1.
Senator Alting calls amendment number 1. Clerk will read.
Madam President, I'm going to gross House Bill.
Senator Alting to present the motion to amend.
Apologize, there was a misprint on my talking points. What this amendment does, this is Attorney General's bill, and the amendments were provided by the Attorney General, does 3 basic things. It amends regarding the duties of the Inspector General, amends some of the following things, permits the Inspector General to provide informal advisory opinion to current, former, and prospective state employees, state officers, and state appointees. It also amends, which requires the AG to retain and publish a record of the opinions, record accounts, and pending cases. And it also deletes and reinstates and makes one change of how the language appears in the bill. I ask for your support.
Discussion. Questions on the adoption of the motion to amend? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion to amend passes. Are there further amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1279, Senator Perfect.
Senator Perfect calls House Bill 1279. Clerk will read.
The bill for name and code.
House Bill 1279 is placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Senator Perfect calls amendment number 4. Clerk will read.
Madam President, gross House.
Senator Perfect to present the motion to amend.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. I have amendment number 4, which is actually just trying to make sure that we're monitoring the right people in this business and not the wrong people. It makes so that if you are an internet provider that is hosting a site that offers same-day service, even though you may be collecting data on that transaction, you are exempt from the penalties in this bill and what the underlying bill does if you're doing that and actually participating in the delivery service. So we were trying to figure out a way to make sure that internet providers were not swept into this legislation. We believe that's what amendment number 4 does. Happy to answer any questions and would appreciate your support.
Discussion. Questions on the adoption of the motion to amend? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion to amend passes. Are there further amendments? Senator Deary. Senator Deary calls amendment number 6. Clerk will read.
Madam President.
Senator Deary to present the motion to amend.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. So the original language that came to us from the House had some provisions that really said no matter the terms of a contract entered into between a restaurant and a food service delivery provider, no matter the terms, past or future contract, then that contract could be voided within 72 hours. And speaking with the interested parties, I learned that really the bigger interest was that once a contract is canceled, that the follow-through on that cancellation occurs. And so amendment number 6 would say, and this is preferable to me because I think, as many of you share with me, a belief in the freedom of contract and free enterprise. And so amendment number 6 would say that no matter the terms of the contract, we're not going to get in the space of that, but once the contract is canceled, then there's a right of action if the food service delivery provider is not following through on removing menus and canceling the service. So I ask for your support for Amendment 6.
Discussion. Yes, Senator Perfect to speak on the amendment.
Speak on the amendment. Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. I would ask that you more enthusiastically support this amendment than you did mine, because I do. So thank you, Senator Deary.
Further discussion. Senator Deary, would you like to close? Questions on the adoption of the motion to amend? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion to amend passes. Are there further amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1315, Senator Baldwin.
Senator Baldwin is absent. Continue.
House Bill 1336, Senator John Ford.
Senator John Ford passes. Continue.
House Bill 1396, Senator Sandlin.
Senator Sandlin calls House Bill 1396. Clerk will read.
Bill for amendment.
House Bill 1396, placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1402, Senator Niemeyer.
Senator Niemeyer calls House Bill 1402. Clerk will read.
Bill for amendment.
House Bill 1402 is placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1447, Senator Donato.
Senator Donato calls House Bill 1447. Clerk will read.
Bill for amendment.
House Bill 1447 is placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1466, Senator Gaskill.
Senator Gaskill calls House Bill 1466. Clerk will read.
Bill for amendment.
House Bill 1466 is placed on second reading. It is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Senator Freeman.
Would you please call amendment number 1?
Senator Freeman calls amendment number 1. Clerk will read.
Madam President, Gross.
Senator Freeman to present the motion to amend.
Madam President, thank you, members of the Senate. I appreciate my friend Senator Gaskill for allowing me. We talked about this in committee. This issue was in a Senate bill that was ruled non-germane that ended up going over to the House. It would strike bias and prejudice in what could be used for cause in a jury trial, and then replace that with if the person has a fixed opinion, which I think would get us to a better conclusion for folks when they're facing being on a jury, to be honest with the judge and their fellow jurors. We appreciate your support.
Discussion? Yes, Senator Gaskill to speak on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the Senate. I support Senator Freeman's amendment and encourage all of you to support it just as enthusiastically as you did Senator Deary's amendment a few moments ago.
Discussion? Senator Freeman, would you like to close? No, thank you. Questions on the adoption of the motion to amend? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion to amend passes. Are there further amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1570, Senator Kyle Walker.
Senator Kyle Walker calls House Bill 1570. Clerk will read.
Bill for amendment.
House Bill 1570 is placed on second reading and is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. Continue the row.
House Bill 1608, Senator Donato.
Senator Donato passes. Continue.
House Bill 1647.
Senator Byrne calls House Bill 1647. Clerk will read.
Bill for amendment.
House Bill 1647 is placed on second reading and is open for amendment. Are there any amendments? Chair hears none. Bills ordered to engrossment. That concludes our second reading calendar. We have a Senate motion. Clerk will read.
Madam President, move engrossed House Bill 1266, which is...
Questions on the adoption of the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will now move to House bills eligible for third reading. Is there consent to read the roll numerically? Consent. Clerk will read the row.
House Bill 1015, Senator John Ford.
Senator John Ford passes. Continue.
House Bill 1040, Senator Bassler.
Senator Bassler calls House Bill 1040. Clerk will read.
The bill for amendment.
Senator Bassler to present the bill.
Very good. Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, fellow senators. House Bill 1040 is a product of the Legislative Council Audit Subcommittee in conjunction with the State Board of Accounts. Representative Lehman and Porter and Nagel carried it on the House side. I want to thank Senator Gaskill and Senator J.D. Ford for co-sponsoring on the Senate side. I'll try to go through it as quickly as possible and then see if I have any questions. There's kind of a few different main categories. One, it requires elected fiscal officers to be able to actually perform their duties. If an examination by the State Board of Accounts is unable to be performed over the local finances, that unit is declared unauditable. Requires the fiscal officer to make their offices auditable within 90 days. If they're not able to, requires the State Board of Account to post that they were deemed inauditable. If not, office is deemed unauditable, declares the local fiscal officer is unable to perform the duties and allows them to either contract with someone or maybe work with an auditor from another township or county to take care of the responsibilities. Fixes a conflict between the duties of elected officials and the requirements as outlined in Indiana Code 511. Requires the State Board of Accounts to provide training for township trustees. Requires elected officials to attend the State Board of Accounts training requirements. Requires new elected officials for cities and towns to attend training offered by the State Board of Accounts, not just counties as it is currently. Requires, this has to do with, we want to make explicit the fact that textbook rental funds and school lunch funds are part of the corporate funds and not part of extracurricular activities, which will allow the State Board of Accounts to audit those funds, and those funds sometimes can handle significant amounts of money. So those are kind of the main points. Happy to take any questions. I'd appreciate your support on this bill.
Discussion. The bill is placed on its passage. The machine is open. Senator Sandlin, Senator Zay, Senator Sandlin. Have all senators voted? Machine is closed. Clerk will tally the roll. Roll call shows 45 ayes, 0 nays. The bill has passed. Shall the Secretary notify the House of the passage of the bill. Continue the roll.
House Bill 1041, Senator Bassler.
Senator Bassler calls House Bill 1041. Clerk will read.
Bill for Niezgodski.
Senator Bassler to present the bill.
Very good. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, fellow senators. This also is a product of the Audit Subcommittee of the Legislative Council, again, in conjunction with the State Board of Accounts. Kind of the key areas it touches on is it deals with alignment of professional auditing and accounting standards, makes adjustments to audit timelines, provides some clarification language, deletes several obsolete provisions, updates current policies, and those are kind of the key points that the bill does. I'd appreciate your, I have to take any questions, but I appreciate your support on this bill.
Discussion. The bill is placed on its passage. A machine is open. Machine is closed. Clerk will tally the roll. Roll call shows 47 ayes, 0 nays. The bill has passed. Secretary will notify the House of the passage. Continue the roll.
House Bill 1087, Senator Taylor.
Madam President, please call House Bill 1087 for the third time.
Senator Taylor calls House Bill 1087. Clerk will read.
Bill for Niezgodski.
Senator Taylor to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. This bill has to do with the Indiana Department of Corrections and provides some guidelines and some guardrails on the release of residents at the time of the conviction unless they meet certain circumstances. What we found out is there are certain jurisdictions all across the state where people who don't have an address may be dropped off in the location that they did not, either where they were convicted or maybe where they served time. What this bill does, it says if that is the circumstance in which this person is released from the DLC, that they at least have to have an employment opportunity and or a plan for housing. This is to address some of the lack of the low barrier housing situations that we have across the state, and I hope that it alleviates some of the problems that we've seen with people who don't have housing once they're released from the DLC. I ask for your support.
Discussion, Senator Freeman to speak on the bill. Oh, talk.
Absolutely. Would you?
Senator Freeman.
Madam President, thank you, members of the Senate. So Senator Young probably has like a legitimate question for you. Just given that I never get this opportunity, given that I'm normally standing here, you know. So Senator Taylor, can you tell me how many people are in the Department of Correction currently?
I don't have an accurate number, but we do get a monthly report, so I advise you to go look at that report, see how many people are in deals.
So I just want it noted that the next time this opportunity comes up, that it's the reverse, right? And I don't have your exact numbers, and you're going to give me a little grace. But I appreciate the levity here this afternoon and your indulgence, Senator Taylor.
Thank you.
Further discussion, Senator Young. Senator Young to question Senator Taylor. Will you yield?
If I have to, yes, I will.
Senator Young.
You don't have to.
No. No.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. When we transport well, we changed the term, a released offender, do we take them anywhere outside of the state of Indiana? What if their family has moved to Illinois, or they've got a job in Chicago or Cincinnati? Can we transport them to another state?
Well, Senator Young, that's a very good question. We cannot transfer them out of the jurisdiction. Typically what happens is that there is a family member that you will meet them at a jurisdiction close to the border of the state where they're going, and then we can either provide transportation through public transportation or through connecting them with a family member.
And where is that in the bill that they can't go to the other state?
That's just policy. It's not a restriction. We just don't use state of Indiana taxpayer dollars to transfer somebody.
So if it's not in the statute, then it could be done?
Yes, it could be, but we don't do that.
Okay, thank you. Second thing is that this thing about them having a, where is it? I lost it. Anyway, about
Reentry
employment.
program?
No, employment.
Yes.
Does it have to be legal employment?
Yes, I would hope so. Hopefully we wouldn't release to somebody that's doing something illegal as their employment.
Well,
Yes.
where's that state that in the bill?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. So they could have illegal employment.
They could, but.
And you're fine with that?
Yeah, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we're the crime fighters on our side.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Further discussion? Senator Taylor, would you like to close?
Yes, just real quick, I do not want people to have illegal employment. I ask for your support of the bill.
The bill is placed on its passage. The machine is open. Machine is closed. Clerk will tally the roll. Roll call shows 47 ayes, 0 nays. The bill has passed. Secretary notify the House of the passage. Continue the roll.
House Bill 1304, Senator Glick.
We skipped 1266. And to return to seconds. Great. Okay. Senator Glick calls House Bill 1304. Clerk will read.
Bill for Koch,
Senator Glick to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. This is a Watercraft registration renewal fee. The money from this fund, as everyone who owns a motorboat in Indiana knows, they have to pay an annual registration fee in order to put that, to obtain a sticker to put that boat on the waters of the state of Indiana. What this fund is for, the money from this fund that's generated is used to support three very important parts of our Department of Natural Resources and the state of Indiana in terms of water. 75% of the dollars that are generated from the fund, from the registrations, go directly to the Lake and River Enhancement Fund. That money is used as an 80-20 grant program with locals, and it's not only conservation efforts, lake associations, but also agencies such as Soil and Water Conservation Service and others to enhance stream bank stabilization, log jam removal, water quality studies, sediment removal, invasive weed control in our lakes, rivers, and streams, and other water-related projects. It generates sufficient money that it sometimes is used for the overhead, the dangerous overhead, low-head dams that we've heard about in the past. It was established this fund was established in 2003, and it has not been updated for some time. Because of the soil erosion rates and some of the problems that we have had with our soils and the increasing nutrient loss, this is an extremely important program and is supported by those people who use the lakes the most, those people who have the watercraft on the lakes. $5 of every registration goes to the Fish and Wildlife Fund. 75%, as I said before, is deposited to Lake and River Enhancement, and 25% of the remainder is deposited in the Conservation Officer's Marine Enforcement Fund. I will welcome any questions you might have and urge your support of the bill.
Discussion. The bill is placed on its, excuse me, on its passage. The machine is open. Senator Bassler. Okay, machine is closed. Clerk will tally the roll. Roll call shows 40 ayes, 6 nays. The bill has passed. Secretary notify the House of the passage. Continue.
House Bill 1308, Senator Busch.
Senator Busch calls House Bill 1308. Clerk will read.
Bill for Niezgodski.
Senator Busch to present the bill.
Madam President, members of the Senate, 2 years ago, the General Assembly created the Gun Crime Task Force. This task force is a collaboration between central Indiana counties to promote and the sharing of information with all levels of law enforcement about the trafficking and possession of illegal firearms by creating a uniform strategy to trace both illegal firearms and firearms used to commit crimes. 1308 just adds all of Allen County to this task force. I appreciate your support.
Discussion. Yes, Senator Taylor. Senator Taylor to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Busch, I want to say thank you for bringing this piece of legislation. I could tell all of you before you decide if your counties want to sign up that Marion County, just through the last couple of years that we've had that facility, has solved hundreds of crimes using this technology to look at the ballistics on guns to see if they match other guns in other jurisdictions. Not only have we been able to connect those guns to crimes in other parts of the state, but also you're familiar with a couple cases that connected guns to crimes that have been committed across the country. So not only are we solving the issue for us here in the state of Indiana, but we're helping our partners across the country with this piece of legislation, and hopefully one day we'll have enough resources so that this can be done across the entire state. I support the legislation. I ask you support it the same.
Further discussion. Senator Busch, would you like to close? The bill is placed on its passage. The machine is open. The machine is closed. Clerk will tally the roll. Roll call shows 46 ayes, 0 nays. The bill has passed. Secretary notify the House of the passage. Continue.
House Bill 1334, Senator Koch.
Senator Cook passes. Continue.
House Bill 1417, Senator Koch.
Senator Cook passes. Continue.
House Bill 1569, Senator Donato.
Senator Donato calls House Bill 1569. Clerk will read.
Bill for enactment good.
Senator Donato to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the Senate. I'd like to present House Bill 1569. The bill content prohibits the Indiana Department of Correction from using any money or other state resources to provide or facilitate sex reassignment surgery for any incarcerated offender. The medical community is divided on whether sex reassignment surgery is the right way to treat individuals with gender dysphoria. In 2016, Obama's administration Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services declined to issue a coverage determination for these surgeries, citing the poor quality of studies and the mixed outcomes. This bill does not prohibit any other forms of treatment for inmates with gender dysphoria, such as counseling, the use of hormone treatments. It is focused solely on unproven, irreversible, and life-altering surgeries that would be paid from Hoosier taxpayers. And with that, I ask for your support.
Discussion. Yes, Senator Taylor. Senator Taylor to question Senator Donato. Do you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Senator Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. Senator Donato, just a couple questions about the bill here. So you said in your testimony that this would only cover surgical procedures, this
Yes, sir.
legislation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and this is, the term you use is gender-affirming surgery?
I used sex reassignment.
Surgical reassignment? Okay, so can you explain to me what that means then?
If you are biologically born as a male and you have been through all of the testing and been approved by physicians and been through all the other therapies and counseling, they will allow you to change your body physically from one gender to the other.
Through surgery?
Yes.
Okay, so it has to be a surgical procedure for this bill to apply, correct?
Correct.
Now, I have an interesting scenario I'd like to ask you about because it's actually a scenario that the Seventh Circuit has already addressed. What if a person comes to DOC and they've already gone through the surgical process while they were out? Would DOC be required if that individual, for example, has problems with their surgical procedure to, have them go off the DOC property to get the procedure fixed? Could they do that?
It is my understanding that while you are an inmate in the Department of Corrections, if you have a life-threatening disease, you are allowed surgery.
Okay. You're allowed surgery, or are they required to give you surgery?
Either or. You're required if it's life-threatening.
Okay, all right. So, Senator Donato, this would not cover someone that, for example, gets a hormone to make their breast grow.
There's no surgery involved there.
So you are okay with the Department of Corrections paying for that service?
You're asking me if this is covered in the bill?
No, I'm saying if you wanted to, you could have covered that in the bill, but you didn't, right?
It is not covered in the bill.
So as far as the bill goes, it only has to do with someone changing their genetic makeup through surgical procedure.
That is how it's stated.
Okay. Are you familiar with the process in which a person must go through before they get this surgery for what they call gender dysphoria?
I am not a physician or a therapist.
All right. So what do you think the process is for you to be able to obtain this surgery right now? There are 2 pending cases, or 1 pending case and 1 settled case. Do they have to go through a process to actually get the surgery assigned right now?
Define process as you're stating here.
So is there an evaluation that's done by the Department of Corrections to determine whether or not this person is eligible for this surgery?
I have no knowledge of what the Department of Corrections do.
Okay, that's fair.
As far as that.
All right. So, are you familiar with the case that actually brought this situation to a head? Are you familiar with the case where the inmate wanted to change their sexual identity and sued the Department of Corrections or sued the state of Indiana for not providing those services? Familiar with that?
I have heard of it.
Okay. And did the state of Indiana settle with that person?
They did.
And what was the settlement?
Are you referring to Love Day?
Yes.
Okay. On the Love Day scenario, a biological male is transitioning to a female. Surgery was recommended by doctors within the IDOC, and the inmate is currently undergoing pre-op procedures.
Okay.
This settled at the end of 2022.
Okay. So if we pass this piece of legislation, would that surgery go forward?
Yes.
Even if this legislation does pass?
Yes.
Is there an emergency for this legislation? Is that in here? Or is it just going to affect it? What if the surgery's after July 1st?
This is a court case that was settled. There's no date stopping it.
No, I'm saying, would this bill stop? Okay, so let me get the bill out. I'm a little confused. They have not gone through, no, I got it right here. They have not gone through the procedure, right?
They are going through the preliminary
Right.
pre-op.
So let's say the pre-op is not completed until, I don't know, July 1st, till after July 1st. It says in the bill the section does not apply to a patients approved by the Department for Sexual Reassignment Surgery prior to July 1st, 2023. So that means it would not apply to that particular case, right?
Again, I am not an attorney,
Okay.
but that is how I understand it.
Okay, all right. So in essence, what you're asking us to do, DLC and the Attorney General's office through a settlement agreement is already going to do this, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Can I speak on the bill, please?
Senator Taylor to speak on the bill.
Well, I want to thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. I want to thank Senator Donato for graciously answering my questions. But I want to make sure that we understand what we're doing here. And in order to do that, I think we need to have proper background. Senator Young asked some questions yesterday that, quite frankly, I couldn't answer. So what I did, which is what I asked all of us to do, is to educate ourselves, so I got the information. Currently, DLC houses over 100 individuals on their gender diverse log. You may ask, what's the gender diverse log? That is a log that the state of Indiana Department of Corrections has for gender nonconforming or non-binary, not transgender individuals. That means they have not fully transitioned from one sex to the other. Currently, 36 of those individuals are on hormones. Did you hear what I said? 36 of them are on hormones. Now, what makes this very interesting is the legislation we're going to pass today, which is going to affect 2 inmates out of those 100, actually 1, because 1 is already settled, and the 1 that is pending is the only one we're going to affect with this legislation. You're going to affect 1 out of 100, 1%. And maybe the reason why we all don't want to hear this issue is because we are effectively changing public policy for 1 person. While the Department of Corrections has agreed to abide by the federal standards that have been handed down to the state of Indiana so that we continue to receive funding for our DLC program. That program was created by the federal government, not under this administration, but under the prior administration. I won't tell you who that was because most of you know. That says that the individuals, the actual definition of gender would be that male or female division of species, especially as differentiated by social and cultural roles and behavior. In other words, the federal government requires us to look at their roles and behavior. That's why we have so many people. As far as what we do with those offenders, it is a public policy position of the Department of Corrections to actually house those individuals separately. So to answer Senator Young's question, we already have a policy in place. So we are passing this piece of legislation, going back to my point, for one person. The hormone therapy, which is required, and which is going to be very interesting when we do get our first person who has the transgender, has the surgery, and we get that inmate, there are hormones that you must take. Some of those hormones are given intravenously, could be done off-site or whatever. But just to give us some guidance of why this is going to be a problem is the 7th Circuit, in regards to the same situation for a case out of the state of Wisconsin, said that where therefore we conclude that a deliberate indifference to a serious medical needs of a prisoner constitutes unnecessary and wanton infliction of pain, but prescribed by the 8th Amendment, we find that unconstitutional. You see, when a prisoner goes to jail or prison, they don't lose all rights to medical procedures and/or support. It actually gets enhanced because the state is responsible for paying for it. So what we are doing right here in this piece of legislation is a direct violation of the 8th Amendment to the Constitution. The 7th Circuit has already ruled it. In this scenario, the individual who received the surgery was supposed to get a stent implanted, and they were denied. The 7th Circuit, where we are located, said that was unconstitutional. So this is going to cost us money for one case. Let me repeat that, for one case. There are 2 documents currently that DLC uses to determine whether or not a person is transgender and should be in a transgender unit. It's a form, small letters, form 56615R1218 and form 56492R31019. These are questionnaires that are filled out and given to a medical professional to determine if someone has gender dysphoria. Again, covered by the federal statute that we accept money from the federal government to adhere to. Once that individual is reviewed, they are then go to what is called a medical and mental health assessment. Then they go through a security threat group affiliation evaluation. Then they get a procedure book to talk about where and what they can do inside the facility. All of this is put in place by our current Indiana DLC policy makers at the DLC level. So what are we going to do here today? We're going to pass a piece of legislation that is going to subject us to a lawsuit to affect one person. One person that we may, philosophically or otherwise, disagree with whether or not the state should pay for it. I don't think there's any disagreement as to whether or not the state should pay for the surgery. I think it's a disagreement as to whether or not the surgery should happen at all. That's the case. Because the lawsuit, once this person sues, is going to cost us more than had we just went ahead and paid for the surgery. So while we're sitting here talking about saving money to taxpayers, consider the fact that the Seventh Circuit, which we are in that jurisdiction, and the Supreme Court of the United States has already ruled that this type of legislation is unconstitutional. But we're talking about saving taxpayers money. And I've already indicated to you, with the information that I have, only 1% of those individuals who have gender dysphoria actually are in DLC that want the surgery. So we can go ahead and make it seem like this is a saving the taxpayer money issue, but I think it's about whether or not you agree with the transgender or the surgery procedure or not. That shouldn't matter, okay? In our own homes, that matters. But we're talking about taxpayer money, and we should be stewards. So when the lawsuit comes, after we pay this bill, I'm going to make sure that I look at the settlement and I come back with the number, what it's going to cost, and then I'm going to check and see how much the surgery costs. Because for those of us who vote for this bill, that's on our backs. The difference is on us if you support this piece of legislation. And it's clear that will only be for one person. And so with that, I ask for your defeat of this piece of legislation. We don't need it. We already have procedures in place to address the issues that these inmates with gender dysphoria actually suffer from, and they have to have a medically necessary approval to get the surgery. And so I ask for your defeat of this measure.
Further discussion. Senator Donato, would you like to close?
There is a legal precedent to support refusing inmate request for sex reassignment surgery. There are decisions in the Seventh Circuit, which include Indiana's Fifth, and the First Circuit, where the courts were opted into the state withholding gender reassignment surgery is neither cruel or unusual punishment. In order to violate the Eighth Amendment, the punishment must be both cruel and unusual, displaying a deliberate indifference or malicious intent to a serious medical need of a prisoner. The court described the Eighth Amendment violation as medical care so unconceivable as to fall below society's minimum standards of decency. Since the inmate was offered one of two options, the test was not met. In the Seventh Court case, the court ruled that statutorily prohibiting both hormone therapy and sex reassignment surgery consisted deliberate indifference, basically summarily denying any treatment options. House Bill 1569 still allows treatment other than sex reassignment surgery. So with that, I ask for your support of House Bill 1569.
The bill is placed on its passage. The machine is open. Machine is closed. Clerk will tie the roll. Roll call shows 38 ayes, 9 nays. The bill has passed. Secretary will notify the House of the passage. That concludes our third reading calendar. We have author motions. Is there consent to take these in one motion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Is there further business to come before the Senate? Yes. Senator Greg Walker for an announcement. For a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Madam President. It's a beautiful day. Great day to be at the ballpark. I hear this is the first day of spring training. You know what a great ball fan I am. Opening day of games. I apologize. Opening day of games. So I like to sing, whether you want to go to the ballpark or not. I love the ballpark. Let's sing together. Take me out at the ball game. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back to root for the Bunnies. They don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Further announcements? The chair recognizes President Pro Tem Breaux for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. Senator Walker, I think you have a better voice than Senator Boots, so well done. At this time, I move that the Senate do adjourn until Monday, April 3rd, 2023 at 1:30 p.m.
Questions on the adoption of the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Senate stands in adjournment until April 3rd, 1:30 p.m. Boom.